Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we will begin the showcases of the new units, and we are going to start with probably the one that was most anticipated, OCTAGRAM Dark Valentine. So she's finally here, everyone's favorite white-haired waifu. People have been waiting and simping for her all over the place in her belly button. So, what does OCTAGRAM Valentine do now that we have her full kit fully translated and ready to go? Well, she is a magic damage dealer, balanced growth type, uses a book, so things that are not out of the realm of normalcy. Her skill set is an AoE ult, which we already knew based on the animations that we saw during their live stream. Now, the point of contention during the translation was her first skill, which is increases your ult damage until the end of battle by 20%, and that caps at 60%. So, it is a stacking effect, just like Protector Dark Veldora, and we'll revisit Protector Dark Veldora a little bit later. But then, the second part of that skill is heals the ally with the lowest percentage of HP by 10%. So it's not a big heal by any means, but it is a heal, while also boosting your ult damage up, which you would think is cool, but the skill costs 25 points, and you have to use it 3 times, so unless you're using a protection unit that can reduce the cost of your skill, like, Dark Rimuru or Sokka, because they're the only two that can do it, it's going to cost 25 points, and then it's going to cost 45 points, and then it's going to cost 65 points, and by that time, you've spent over 120 skill points for a 60% increase in your ult, when you could just bring Windmill him and use 55 points and have a 70% ult boost. Now, the thing is that because this is a permanent boost till the end of battle, it will stack on top of Windmillum's ult boost. So, you could, use Valentine once for 25 points. It's relatively cheap. And then you could, go down the line, go through the battle, have enough points to use Windmillum, and now you're sitting at a nice 90% ult boost. It seems okay. It seems like a reasonable cost. But if you're looking to maximize this skill and go full 60% and then Windmill 70, it's a lot of points. That's a lot of points right there. Don't recommend it. This heal is cool, but not great. Her second skill is where I have a lot of problems with her. I have a problem with this, stacking and point cost, whatever. I have a very big problem with this skill. So her second skill, Inviting Nightmare, increases all souls orange gauge by 50% per orb. So that sounds really good. Like, oranges are going to give you an extra 50%, which we already know oranges give you a lot. Blues and greens, same thing. They're going to boost your ult gauge. However, the devs thought that was too strong and decided to actually put a debuff in her skill, not on the enemy, but on yourself. So, alongside boosting your orange gauge up by 50%, you also debuff all of your soul's blue gauge increase by 25%. And so you have a yin and a yang, black and white. You have a give and a take. You get a lot more ult gauge, but you don't get a lot more protection gauge. And we're gonna show that in effect during this video, of where I will want ults, but I will also want protection gauge. So what do? Let's find out. But first, let's go ahead and let's do what we always do, and we will do a big mommy damage test. And we will actually show off the inherent pros and cons of this 20% boost right here. So I'll catch you guys in a bit. Before we move on to the damage test, I do want to point out that I forgot that her trait is actually very, very, very good. It's the same trait as Light Rimuru's that we just got. So when your troop contains 3 or more battle characters, increase the protection gauge by 3 once per turn from the start of battle to turn 3. So every turn for 3 turns, you get protection gauge. So very, very powerful. I mean, you can combine that with your already, big 3 protection gauge, and then Rimuru, and then Valentine, and then you're starting almost at like 3/4 of a protection meter right there. But again, that's only if you have dupes in Valentine, of which mine is level 80 because I don't have enough currency because I bought everybody, right? Except for the most useless one. So, just that is something, it's very important to point out that she does have a good trait if you want to invest in her. So, now we can move forward. Alright, so team build right before the damage test, we've got Dark Veldora, or Wind Veldora, because of his own alt stacking ability. We've got Windmillum for her alt boost, we've got, obviously Valentine because she's the unit, and then the hero, Xion, and Rimuru for all of their buffs. So I just wanted to show off the team that we are using. Don't worry about these supporters, it does not matter. Just care about these units. So this is the team. I'll see you guys when we're ready to do our first alt with Valentine. Alright, we are back for our very first alt with Valentine. You can see that she has no additional buffs on her alt. All we have is the trait from Rammers giving us an extra 6% attack. We have not used any Veldora yet, so we're just going to send this alt, and we will pray that it does an okay amount of damage. But remember, it is AoE. So we do here 8,600 damage. Alright, well, again, it's an AoE. It's not going to be terribly impressive. She is not the hero, and definitely not a maxed out hero. So let's go ahead and use, before we move on, we're going to start using these skills right here. So, Valentine's first skill increases your alt damage by 20%, and thankfully we have an alt that we can show this on. Totally didn't plan that, but we do anyways. So here's a 20% boost right here, and a 4-point heal. So, 20% forever. Alright, let's use Veldora now, because we have 2 stacks of him. And this increases your alt damage until the end of battle by 10% for a max of 50%, and gives me 30 skill points. So, by using these 2 stacks of Veldora, that 20% is now going to be 40%, right? So, testing it out here, we are sitting at 40, because we've had the 20, we've had the individual 10 from Veldora to 30, and then another one to bring us to 40. So, let's move on to the next turn. Pop, pop, pop. Alright. So now we've got 2 alts. Now it's the next turn. We can use Valentine again, so this is another 20% right here. So it healed the hero. And now we're at 60%. 60%, which, seems really good. But we still, technically to max out Veldora, we need like 3 more. We need 3 more stacks of Veldora. So let me bring you back when we have another stack of Veldora, and we'll show what happens. Okay, took a few turns, but we're back. It's the same fight. We still have the hero and Millum in the back with their alts, but now we have a Xion alt, so that's fine. So Xion is currently boosted up to 60%. We have another Veldora meter. We're still at 160 points, so this will be the 3rd stack of Veldora that will put us another 10%. Or will it? So, let's check out where our alt damage is sitting now. And it is still 60%. So, what this shows is that Veldora, because his cap, his maximum damage cap that you can increase his alt, is 50%. We have already hit that at 60%, which is Valentine's alt cap. Right? And by adding another 10% that we were supposed to get from Veldora onto a cap that is already above what he should be able to do, we actually don't get anything for it. So if you use Valentine and Wind Veldora together, you do not magically get 110% alt damage, because they don't add on top of each other. They will run side by side, and then whoever hits the cap first is what is going to be, where they're going to sit. So you could, in theory, use 5 stacks of Veldora and get to 50%. And never once use OCTAGRAM Valentine's alt. And if you, for some reason, do have 5 stacks of Veldora, and then you magically pop Valentine to get that quote-unquote 20%, you're actually only going to get 10% because you've already been at 50%, and her cap is 60. And so you only get that extra 10% to bring her damage cap to 60%. So, in layman's terms, they don't work together. They don't stack together. Because they're both permanent buffs, and they both have different stacking limits, one higher than the other. So that is a slight drawback in damage potential, because I had hoped that you could stack them both, and you could have 110%, and then add on Windmillum's 70% for 180%. That would have been awesome, but it don't work like that. So enough talking. I will bring you back now when everything is said and done. We have all the points we need to, fully nuke with Valentine, so be right back. Alright, we are back, and we are ready to full send a fully boosted Valentine. So we are up to 250 points. We have used Veldora the maximum amount of times, and Valentine is still capped at 60%. So if you needed any further proof, there it is. But, as you can see, it does stack with Windmillum's temporary buff. So we are getting 60 plus 70 right there. So we're getting, 130%? 130% alt boost right here. So it's still good. Right, it's more than what Dark Veldor would have given by himself, because it would have been 120%, but it's definitely not the 110 forever and then 70 for one turn, right? So, but then we have everything else on Valentine. We've got the trait 6%, we've got Pierce power, crit rate, attack 40%, the crit resistance up here is on him. So we did, 8,800 on the first hit, and now we are doing 54-4. Alright, this is reasonable. It's a lot of setup. So 54-4. Again, this test makes no sense in most, real battle terms, but it's for fun, and I like to do them. But this does show off the limitations of her alt stacking as a whole. We can definitely use it in other scenarios, though. So let's move on to an actual fight now. Okay, well, I was going to make this into one video for the showcase of Valentine. However, I've been recording, and I have an hour's worth of footage, and I don't need to smash all that into a video that you guys aren't going to watch. So we're only going to use this video as a highlight of her skill set, and then the fact of showing off her ult stack, because that is a very important factor in her skill set. So we're going to call the video here. I will put together a separate video of her on, in actual battle on different teams, and that will be a follow-up video showcase for Valentine. So here we have at least an idea of what the stacking alt damage does. That way you are at the very least informed of what it can and cannot do. So let me know in the comments how you feel about this Valentine, and if you're either still super psyched for her, maybe a little disappointed in her, maybe gonna wait for the next OCTAGRAM unit instead, or you bought somebody else, let me know your feelings on her. But for now, take it easy guys, and I'll see you later.